Good morning, good people. Good afternoon, good evening from where you are. Yes, your boy Muhariza here. We're back to serve your time. Now, something happened to me yesterday, actually. So I went for these, my usual walks. Now, sometimes when I really want to get the most, like impact or effect from a walk or a jog, because I really love to blend with nature. Normally, I tend to want to go to like a new place, a bit of unknowns. In a way, it's sort of like it has a way of getting me, excited, getting me like unlocking my thought process, allowing me to reflect and things like that. So yesterday I went for this early evening walk, and it was very nice, scenery, tea area and stuff like that. So, so the entire time, uh, well, I was in a place I had never been in terms of jogging and or even like living, like really understanding my coordinates around the place. So so I get to my workout place, you know change, get ready for my exercise, step out, start the walk, jog. I was jogging and walking in between. I think this whole experience took me 2 hours 37 minutes, to be precise. Um, so part of where I took the walk, I would see it, like you could say place from a distance, but you've never really been. So I was curious. Now I took the detour. Now I think in the first 15 or so minutes I was in a common familiar territory. So now I began. I got lost in the wilderness. I think from the 30th minute, in my journey, or 20th minute or thereabout. Now at that point, I think by the 30th minute I was not sure where my coordinates are. I'm trying to figure out. Mm. So, but what I realized, I think I was on lost, not really bad, but actually very curious, until about the entire time. I think for the better part of it, I would say, ooh, 1 hour, almost 2 hours of this whole thing, this whole adventure of mine. It was all curiosity. I'm like, okay, now how do I coordinate to at least somewhere looks familiar, so I can go back to my place of my starting point. So I think it was like in right at the second hour that I now I could see, okay, I have an idea. So so the moment I got to literally uh, the space or the road that I know, and I'm 100% sure that this is where, this is taking me home. This is taking me to my starting point. Man, like something changed. All of a sudden, I was tired. All of a sudden, my legs were hurting. All of a sudden, my body was giving in. All of a sudden, I lost interest. All of a sudden, my willpower was out. All of a sudden, I was everything but tired. I even thought of getting a bike or stopping a car passing by, to get me. It felt like, you know, I am so far away. I am so tired. It is so hard. It is so difficult for me to get to my destination. But the irony is that, this all happened literally after 2 hours. But most importantly, it happened after I was sure, this is the direction. I am 100%, certain. There's no question about where I'm headed and all that. But then I asked myself, okay, what just happened to me? Like, really, really, what just happened to me? Like, how is it that of a sudden, I won't say like out of the blue, maybe for lack of better words, I'm tired, I am extremely exhausted. I'm ready. I just want to go get to my destination. I'm like, 2 minutes ago, I was excited, I was still eager to find out. I was curious. So it just became, like obvious to me that, you know what? Our brains, this was actually my brain playing games with me, This was my brain telling me, you know what? Everything I've been holding. So I think before, if 2 minutes before then I was suddenly in what people call flight mode. Fight, it's always fight or flight. So I was literally at, I think, crossroads. I was fighting on. Okay, so that means, I think that means my brain was gathering all sorts of energy, okay, not to get me tired, like to keep me going, because now at that point, I think my body forgot. Everything was paused in terms of my comfort zone, in terms of being tired, in terms of feeling all these things otherwise that, one would need to worry about. That is now my feet are hurting, my body is giving in, and all that. So because now it's fight, right? So I think the moment I crossed, literally, the moment I crossed into the space, I know, I'm sure about where I'm headed, 100% know that now I'm home. I can see my destination, or at least and know that if anything happens, now I'm safe. Okay, now I think it go to flight mode. There was no reason, I think, for me now my brain to fight anymore, to so everything just. So then I kept wondering, okay, so is it also got me thinking about the connection between your brain power vis-a-vis your body power. So I'm like, hold on, so are we saying that the body, which is the carrier, and the engine, which is your brain, they have I mean, like, when the brain decides it's out, it's out. But the body perhaps may not necessarily decide it's out if the brain is still fully in, right? Because all these things were there. I had actually walked 2 hours earlier. I was like, I had done 120 minutes before. I only have now about 20 or 30 minutes left. So what would be so difficult? What would be so hard for me, in that sense? Like, why wouldn't I be able to wait for these 20 minutes? Which is like not even a quarter of what is left of me. So it's like, I'm like, okay. It just made me also remember a lot about, whereas here people say mental strength is, you can't beat it, right? With a good mental strength, you will be able to, I think, circumvent anything. Your body will always play catch up. And of course, unless your body is sick, really, and it can't move, that's different. But I still say, I dare say this, that even when your body, I believe, is weak, is sick, because a tired body is a weak body. A dehydrated body is a weak body. So there are not ways around it, that's for sure. You can't do much about it, right? However, there's the brain can take you. So if you have the willpower, if you have fuel in the engine, you can still go far. In fact, it made me also reflect on an earlier experience while I was at it. Because in this specific journey of mine, so I happened to, when I was going through this new territory, unfamiliar territory, so there was a lot of like, I was interacting, of course, from a distance with, the locals in that area. And this space was so stiffy, so hilly, wasn't even tarmacked, right? And then, so that means if you've been to villages, hilly villages, you'd understand. And this being a tea area, you'd have a lot of people coming from harvesting tea. They have to carry it up the hill, right? Then go back down the hill and stuff like that. Or even like the people within the area, they have to moving on with their lives, right? They have to walk high up the hill, walk down the hill. Maybe they're going to do shopping, or maybe they're going to socialize, or maybe they're going to school, or going to, community gatherings, or whatever it is, right? And then now, because I was walking, right? And then there's some people who are driving past me. But then I would see the reaction, okay? Because this is an area, not so many vehicles would be moving around. So, but I would see the reaction from the locals, or from people I'm walking along with, in different directions. Anyway, when a car passes, you could tell the admiration that someone would have. You would see that someone would wish, if they had an option, they would rather be, driving up the hill or down the hill. So it made me think. I'm like, okay, now I actually, if I'm in all fairness, I drove to a certain point, right? I parked in where I perceived to be a safe place. Anyway, my gym place. In fact, I'm looking forward to this walk because I want to, to exercise, right? And now these persons that admiring these particular drivers and all that, to them, walking is a punishment, sort of. You could see. Obviously, it's not easy if you have no option, right? But then I'm like, so life is so funny, because this person, maybe, if they, and you would see these people are fit, and they're not struggling with. Me, I'm actually doing the reverse, taking away what they admire to achieve what they have. That is the physical fitness. So, and I'm like, again, it sort of like all the things that and the earlier experience I spoke about, how the brain and the body communicate. I'm like, okay, so it's all about, it still goes back to the brain being in control, because for a person who is not driving, right, the value of walking is not, because it's perceived as negative, perceived as a punishment to them, because they have no option but to walk up the hill, down the hill, right? Now, on the other hand, there's a person who's just parked their car, and all they're doing is just to walk up and hill, go through this experience for them to exercise, So on the flip side, if this person perhaps got the car, they may not even know how to handle, because then they would, sitting for long, they'd start having back problems, they will start having weight issues, because now to them, the brain has told them, now this is it. So I'm like, at what point then do we recognize, our brains, and do we recognize the presence of what we can and what we can't do? At what point do we, go in and try to not necessarily be in control? Because when you come to think of it, right, your brain, your body, you. So who are you even talking to? So are you saying, so when you talk of understanding your brain and how it works and all that, are we saying that there's a you without your brain? So who is controlling who? So it made me think about so many things, but I ultimately it made me realize that most of it is perception, is what you tell your brain, is what you make your brain believe, because the brain does not differentiate between right or wrong until you convince it. If you consistently tell your brain that this X is impossible, each time you have a chance to make it possible, the brain will be telling you no, but you see, but we agreed this is not possible, so why even trying? Mm-hmm. So that state of equally confusion, who controls who, what's more important than the other, what should be more thought or looked after. But then also it reminds me, I think there's an episode I did. There's an episode I did earlier, I think like 4 months ago. I think it must have been, the topic must have been riding your tide. I remember using an example of my uncle, who forever has taught me that you can be physically stronger than someone, or someone can be physically stronger than you. They could have more power, they could have more money, they could have security around them, right? They could have muscles and you don't have. But as long as your mental strength, as long as you have brain power, there's nothing you can't do. There's nothing you can't achieve. And actually, that is really every time, like, it is really, 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 really the only way. How you train your brain? Go Google, talk to experts. I'm not an expert at that. You figure it out. But also they go hand in hand, because the brain will speak more and will communicate better to a physically fit body. And the brain needs to be less stressed, I guess. So I think physical exercise, mental exercise, stress, avoiding stress, those are things that perhaps you could do, that I can think of. I'm not an expert really when it comes to matters body or mental health, but I think that those are things you can do, all in the name of protecting your brain, your mental strength. But overall, 100% convinced. I think, guys, I think let's open what you call them, I think we should do a series called 100% convinced. Yeah. And this is probably be this. I think the first episode will be the video last did build up. Yeah. I think now this should be episode 2. I don't know what the topic is though. Because but it will come from once I go down and listen to what I've just said, because like I said, I usually do things, talk about things as and when they come to me, in the hope and belief that someone out there would be inspired and share with another person who may be inspired. Who knows? Yeah, but I think we should do a 100% series, 100% convinced series. I think this one will be 100% convinced that your brain controls your body. Brain power is everything. Something like that. But let me know what you think, because it was so again, like I said, these things are usually, people talk about these things all the time, they're in our face, but I don't know, we're just human, we can't help it, we're just human. And do not never, like, I think, be out there, beat yourself up. Mistakes or lack of knowledge is part of who you are as a human being, but learning, right, is within your control. No one can blame you so much for not knowing, but we can blame you for making no effort to know what you don't, if you have an opportunity to do know what you want, right? Because at the end of the day, it's all your responsibility. It starts, and the buck starts and falls or breaks with you, with me. No excuses. And it's always good, like, even me sometimes when I sit down here, stand here, actually this is a unique episode, I'm doing it standing, like I'm trying to, like, give you guys different angles. You let me know actually what you find your favorite, because I realized that I don't have to be stuck in one space, and I could be, any space in my house can be a shooting angle, or any space anywhere I find myself that I think like. And a nice, that painting actually is a painting I did myself in 2016, painted by hand. It's it speaks into, because I like nature, so I like to, that's me behind windows staring at the universe, hills and valleys, and water and things like that, the sky. So that's my typical mindset. That's what would get me relaxed. So, and then it made me realize, actually, you don't have to be an artist to do a piece of art, really, because I think art is what you perceive. Art is more of a perception, being able then to communicate your perception into a story, I guess. So, good people, let me know what you think. Let me know if you believe that 100% your brain controls everything, and brain power is everything. And if you have any suggestion of your 100% conviction, share. Maybe it could feature, in the next episode or something like that. All right. Without further ado, asante sana. Thank you very much. Mungu abariki. God bless you. Mungu abariki Africa. God bless Africa. My headers are out. Catch you in the next one. Kwaheri. Bye bye.